I'm not always gone, but I'm gone some too, so.
Tim, you want to kick things off since we're getting ready to
All right,
go into it?
here we go. So welcome everybody to the Park and Recs Advisory Commission's January meeting. And we'll start by, what, do we go by introductions first?
We have introductions first.
Yes.
PRAC members.
So PRAC members, our newest member.
Hi, my name's David Bone, and I own the Hillside Chapel Funeral Home here in Oregon City. We've been there for just over 15 years now, and so I have served on other government boards. I was a member and the president of the Oregon Mortuary and Cemetery Board, served on that board for about 8 years, and then I've been on nonprofit boards and things of that nature. So I'm excited about being here. William Gifford is the one that suggested I get more involved, so here I am.
I'm Joyce Gifford, and William Gifford's my husband, and he's not on PRAC, but he advises a lot of people to get onto PRAC, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He gets around. I'm Tim West, well, former chair, and we'll see about this year, but long-term residents, been here for 38 years, and glad to be part of the board.
I am Tim Lainhart. I've been on PRAC for, I believe, just about 2 years now. Work for the military department doing events across the state outside of this, and have 2 young kids who live in the park, so happy to be here.
My name is Steve Williams. I'm a resident of Oregon City since the early 90s, and I'm a retired biologist from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. So and it's been very interesting, and see what we continue to do for the next year.
Mm-hmm. I'm Erin McClellan. I'm also a new member to PRAC. I'm a longtime resident as well, about 15 years in Oregon City. I serve on a couple other boards around the American Heart Association and currently work with Providence Health Plan in their strategic communications. I also have a young child, 5 years old. She loves the parks, loves the events, and I'm excited to be here.
Ken Worcester. I've been on the PRAC for a little over 2 years, and been in the city for almost 6 years, and have 2 young grandkids that live here as well. So,
Well, welcome. So one of the first courses of business is the election of the chair and the vice chair. So everyone should have received a packet. In your packet, there's an actual ballot with the list of names. So on that ballot, we're asking you to put C for chair, VC for vice chair. And then what we'll do is we'll come around, receive everyone's ballot, tally them up, and then we will announce who the new chair and vice chair will be, and then we will cast a vote.
Oh, yes. You do need to please put your name at the top. It will stay anonymous amongst us, but we do need that as a requirement for the city.
So, donations.
I'll tell you.
Who was the chair again?
Tim is a current. You know who it is.
Oops, excuse me.
And now somebody's going to need to hum the Jeopardy theme song. Very slowly.
Emily and Joey voted.
Yes, yeah, via email. I knew that they were going to be attending electronically prior to this.
like a good agenda today, too.
Sorry.
So it looks like a good agenda today, too.
This looks like a Cecily project. Is that yours?
Okay.
Oh, no, Melissa too.
Ooh, rental and events coordinator, that's fun. I'm excited to hear that.
Okay. Okay.
This is interesting. Did they do it by secret ballot last time? Remember?
I don't recall.
I feel like it was virtual last time, maybe. I feel like we were in person when we voted last time.
It was heated discussion.
All that ballot, the campaigning too.
If you ever run off, then we have to have a heated discussion.
All right. So we've tallied up all of the votes, and we seem to have a tie.
So now we're gonna.
Oh, God.
I call it arm wrestle, but I don't think it's official.
Rock, paper, scissors decide. So we have a tie between Timothy and Steve Williams. They both received 4 votes for chair.
Tim Leanhart.
Tim Leanhart,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you.
And just for vice. Vice chair was decisive. Ken was chosen as vice chair. All right. So we've never had this happen before.
Well, that's what happens to get more members.
We could re-vote based on the two.
Oh, we could. So what we could do is go around and have each individual place a vote for either Steve Williams or Timothy, and then tally up the votes. Does that make sense? All right. Ken, you want to kick things off?
And do what?
Oh, they're doing it verbally. Okay.
Just a verbal vote?
Yeah, just a
Oh, okay. I guess I'll go with Steve.
All right. Erin?
Feels unfair. I'll go with incumbent, Tim.
no, this
Oh, sorry. Here, just kidding. I'm sorry, I got confused. Okay.
It's hard to do.
Steve.
All right.
Sorry.
Somehow it doesn't seem right to vote. I'll do I'll vote Tim just because it seems like appropriate.
All right.
I'm going to do the same. I'm going to vote for Steve. Yeah, I'm not going to vote for myself.
Tim?
I'll vote for Tim.
All right. Joyce?
I'm not going to look at people as they vote because they vote Jess.
A little awkward.
Tim.
And I know Steve, so I'll vote for him.
And we don't have Emily in.
Well, Emily, you can ask Emily.
Yeah, I guess Tim.
And Joey?
I would go with Steve.
Okay.
Are we tied again?
No, I think Steve won.
Steve did win
All
by
right.
one vote.
Win.
So
All
now,
right.
Thank you, guys.
now we have to do
Well.
a formal vote.
Now you realize what you've
Somebody
done.
has to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now what we would need to do is a formal vote to secure the nominations of Steve and Ken as chair and vice chair.
So you need a motion to that effect?
Correct.
I move that Steve and Ken be chair and vice chair of PRAC for the next year.
I second.
Thank you. I'll take a roll call for that. David Bone,
Yes.
Joyce Gifford,
Yes.
Joey Knopf.
Yes.
Thank you. Tim Leanhart,
Yes.
Emily Lisborg,
Yes.
Steve Williams,
Yes.
Ken Wooster.
Yes.
Tim West,
Yes.
and Erin McClellan.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Steve, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, let's see, we have some other introductions, I believe, to go through. The new Parks and Cemetery Manager.
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Tom Kissinger. He started just in time for the ice storm. So his first official date was Thursday. So he got to practice emergency response. So we're very happy to have him. He has a background as a park supervisor in Marion County, also project manager at City of Bend, and we've been very excited to have him become a part of the Oregon City family. So Tom?
Yeah, as Kendall mentioned, I was a park supervisor for Marion County. I started in that position in November 2020, right after the wildfires destroyed 6 of our parks in the Santiam Canyon. So that was my big project down there, was kind of reimagining and reinventing some of those natural spaces down there. And I'm excited to bring that experience and all the different things that I learned from that process to this group. I worked in the Environmental Services Division for about 6 years total for Marion County, and that group includes the solid waste, the water, and the parks department. And then I helped out with a bunch of other public works stuff. The City of Bend, I was part of their innovation group and did a lot of more like technology projects, a little bit of everything from policy, new SCADA system, all sorts of different stuff. And prior to that, I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I moved out here in 2018. Back in Pennsylvania, I was the accounting manager of a credit union for about 6 years. Worked my way up from teller to, accounting supervisor, I think was the official title, but did a lot of that. And so kind of this weird, varied career that now brings me to Oregon City, and I'm very excited to be here. And have been out and seen the parks, and they're beautiful, and I'm very excited to help make them even more beautiful.
Well, welcome. The parks look a lot better when they're not in an ice storm.
That's very true.
So, I suggest you go make another tour in a little bit. They'll look a lot better a little bit later on. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have the introduction of our new Rentals and Events Coordinator, Taylor Miller, and Cecily will be doing the introduction. Taylor, you want to come up? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to welcome Taylor Miller. He's already just dove into some amazing projects. The neat thing about his position is he really will be working with all of the divisions with Parks and Rec, a little bit different than we formerly had structured. He is already diving into things like concerts and movies and Daddy-Daughter Dance, which is right around the corner. In addition, he is homed at the Pioneer Community Center, and he's been helping with our great rentals that we do. We have many rentals that happen through the center, and so excited to have him here, and I'll let him speak to his experience and his amazing resume as well.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I know some faces, which is awesome. Taylor Miller, been here almost 2 months now, which is kind of crazy to think of. Most of my career experience has been managing programs for individuals who experience developmental disabilities and traumatic brain injuries. So I did that for 5.5 years. This is my first city position, which I'm very excited about. It's kind of allowing me to bring all of my skills that I've experienced into one place, which I really enjoy. I have a lot of volunteer experience. I run a local nonprofit children's theater called Crayon Kids Musical Theater. We use the Barclay School on 12th Street. David's son was a part of that company for many years. So I have experience there leading a nonprofit. I also work with the Miss Oregon Scholarship Program, leading their productions and scholarship efforts for the contestants within that program. So that all of those different experiences, again, have allowed me to come here into this space and use all my skills in one location, which I'm very excited about. As Cecily mentioned, I've jumped in with some concerts, working with Melissa and RJ, and we have some events like the March Spring Forward Resource Fair that I'm working on as well with the team that is coming up on March 9th, which is the flyer you have in front of you. So I'm very excited to be here, learn all about the city. I'm a resident of Oregon City for the last 5 years, and I grew up in Canby, so kind of always considered Oregon City a second home because it's so close, and I spent a lot of my childhood here too. So thank you for having me.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Okay, The next item on our agenda is approval of our minutes. They're pretty straightforward minutes. If folks have had a chance to look at them, I would certainly entertain any discussion and then follow that up with a motion
If there's no discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from December 7th, 2023.
I second. This is Joyce.
I'll do a roll call. David Bone,
Yes.
Joyce Gifford,
Yes.
Joey Knopf,
Yes.
Timothy Lanehart,
Yes.
Emily Lisborg,
Yes.
Erin McClellan,
Yes.
Steve Williams,
yes.
Ken Wooster,
Yes.
and Tim West.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Great. Do we have any public comment this evening? No public
do not.
comment. Okay. Then I believe we have the committee training presentation, or a brief version of that, I
A
believe.
brief version,
A brief
yes.
version of that, as I understand it.
So it's my pleasure to introduce our city recorder, Jacob Wiley. Every year we do a presentation to our Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee to make sure that new members coming in kind of understand their roles and responsibilities. We have sent the video out to the new members to view. So Jacob this year is going to do an abbreviated version and open it up for questions to see if there are any questions.
And I'll try to go as fast as I can, as fast as reasonable.
I think we have plenty of time to see. You're good.
Yeah. So my name's Jacob Wiley. I'm the city recorder for Oregon City. I'm sure a few of you are familiar with me at least. I'm on the other side of the applications. So if you submit an application, came to me, I pass it off. My role in the city is I manage elections, posting agendas for the city commission. I'm also the records manager. So any kind of, public records management, when we can throw things away, when we can, when we have to keep things, that's kind of my ballpark. So I'd start off by just talking about the purpose of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. This is coming from the bylaws. I won't read through them all, but I'm sure you're familiar with them. Basically, to support Kendall in his job, help the city do the best we can with our parks, provide public input, and help us be the best parks we can in Oregon City. Just a couple public meeting law requirements I wanted to talk about. Public notice has to be posted for all public meetings. So that would mean if you were to meet together and talk about anything, that would be a quorum of you, which is a majority of you. So just think about that whenever you say have lunch as a group. You need to think about how many of you are there and whether you're going to talk about stuff related to your work here at the city. If there's too many of you in one place, you can accidentally have a public meeting, and because there was no notice and no public was invited, we can get in trouble. So just keep that in mind. The other thing that can happen with emails, there in Oregon, you can have an electronic public meeting by accident if you reply all and create a long thread of communications back amongst you. That's an easy trip hazard. Don't do that. So if you receive an email, say from the public, and it's blasted to all of you, don't reply to it. Just send it to your staff liaison and they can handle it from there. But if you were to reply and start having a lengthy conversation back and forth, you might get in trouble with public meeting law. Public meetings have to be open to the public. Like tonight, we have some members of the public here attending. So that was one of the main requirements. Minutes have to be created for each meeting, and those minutes need to include any motions, who was there, things like that. Your lovely liaison will help with all of that. The role of the chair, something that you just got voted on today. There's no special powers specifically with the role of the chair. They're really there to ensure, keep the meeting moving forward, keep it efficient. In rare circumstances, the chair is also the person that needs to intervene when there's some kind of disruption in the meeting or, say, vulgar language or something. Members should remember to show respect, be professional, avoid personal attacks, and respect the vote of the body. The role of the vice chair is really just a substitute chair if the chair is unable to attend the meeting. Just some mechanics of the meetings. You make a motion, say an item comes up on the agenda, you would discuss it. You have a motion, a second. You can have some further debate. That's optional. Not every time, but there is times when that happens. And if it's confusing or there's a big lengthy discussion after the motion and second, it's a good policy to restate the motion just so that everyone's clear on what they're voting on, and then go ahead and vote. There's other common things that come up sometimes. Say somebody thinks a procedural error was created. Anyone can say, point of order, I'd like to know whether that vote was properly conducted. The chair would respond to that. And if it's unclear, the group would vote on whether they thought that it was properly conducted or not. One of my pet peeves is a phrase often said, let's call the question. That's actually a motion in and of itself under the Roberts rules. And it only happens after a motion is pending. So say you have a motion and a second, you're down in that further debate line. Someone can say, you know what, I'm tired of talking about this. I'd like to move to call the question. So you have a motion within a motion. You'd have to vote on that. You get a 2/3 pass, and then there's no further discussion. Really, it's a motion to end debate is what they call it. So it's just a pet peeve of mine. Frequently, folks will say, let's call the question, and then that means vote, and they're voting on the motion that they were originally talking about. Just a pet peeve. There's also the ability to appeal a decision of the chair. Again, this is very rare, but it can be done, and it's basically a motion itself. Appeals decision by the chair requires a motion and a second and a vote. It basically overrides the chair. There's different kinds of voting. The most frequent one used in our meetings is a roll call vote, where each member's vote is recorded. That's what we did earlier today for the vote for the chair. There's also a variation called the acclamation. You've probably heard this before. All in favor say aye. But in order for that to be valid, you have to ask for the nays, or the vote is invalid. So you have to say all in favor say aye, all against say nay, and any abstentions. Oregon law requires that the votes are recorded in the minutes, meaning we need to know who voted which way. So pragmatically, I would say if you do an acclamation and someone votes no, you need to write that down, who voted what. But it is a quicker way of doing something. Say if it's minutes and there's not much contention, you can say all in favor say aye, aye. It was unanimous. We're ready to go. Conflicts of interest really aren't too much of an issue, especially for this group, because in Oregon, they're very financially based. So it would be something that you were voting on that would benefit yourself or your business or something that you're associated with. There's two different kinds. There's a potential conflict of interest, which means it might be a conflict of interest. The person that has that conflict may participate, but they have to state the conflict when it arises. So they aren't excluded. They don't have to abstain from any motion, but it's just sort of a notice requirement. Like, hey, I think there might be a conflict here. An actual conflict of interest means that you can't participate in the discussion and you cannot vote, meaning like you have to you don't have to leave your chair, but you almost have to. You have to be so not involved that you're not really present. For you all, that shouldn't matter too much unless you're voting on something like a grant recommendation, and I don't know how often that happens. Does that come up much?
Frequently, no.
No. So you really don't need to be too concerned with it, but just keep it in mind if it comes up. Another common question, can I vote on the minutes if I wasn't there? Yes, you can, because you're voting as a member of the body. You're not voting in endorsement yourself of that minute, like of that happening. It's not like you're a witness to what happened. You're voting that the minutes should be approved. If you have any concerns about the minutes, though, you can go back and watch the video if you're absent. But yeah, there is no requirement that you abstain if you weren't present. You can vote. And to conclude my brief presentation, I just wanted to talk about some code of ethics a little bit. No favoritism, no special privileges because of your position. Follow confidentiality rules. So don't try to, use your position to reveal confidential information about the public. No profiting from your position here in the city. So don't say, "Hi, I'm a PRAC member and I can get some pull with the Parks and Rec director." Don't do that. Try not to have work that conflicts or interferes with your job here. State laws limit accepting gifts. So if you were receiving gift in the capacity of your position here, say as something has to do with the city, there's a gift limit, $50. No use of personal use of city property. So please do not go and borrow the Parks Department truck and use it to move your friend over the weekend. Please don't do that. And if any of your co-committee members do that, please report it to staff. Any of these other rules. So if you have any questions or any takeaways, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you, Jacob. Questions for Jacob?
I had just maybe a clarification on the electronic meeting.
Yeah.
So it's not like one reply all doesn't constitute a debate, right? Or if you're sending out something that you want everybody to get, but it's the debate afterwards?
If you want, I guess the example you're giving me is one of your members wants to forward this to the rest of the committee and let them see it. That would be something you would actually send to your staff liaison and they can forward it to the committee. You really want to avoid sending the reply all to everyone from your account. Send it to the liaison and then the liaison can forward it to you. It can get tricky because you can't control what they do when they receive it. So if they click reply all, now you've got two people. If one more or a few more people reply to that, then you've got a quorum in that email thread. So it's really something just to avoid. In certain circumstances, I actually use blind carbon copy when I'm sending things to the city commissioners, so that just to avoid the accidental reply all. Because that can be a problem. So that's something to think about. If you want to, you can use blind carbon copy for committee emails. Yeah, you really don't want to do that.
Jacob, I can't imagine this happening, but because most of us are just private citizens, we don't work for the city.
Right.
The electronic devices that we respond on, are they discoverable in case there were a Freedom of Information Act request or anything like that?
The only time, I don't want to say no, never, but if you stick to using your city email account for any communications that has to do with your work for PRAC, you're probably fine. If you start forwarding things to your private email account or start using your private email account to circumvent our email, then yes, that could make it subject to a FOIA request. And in Oregon, it's a public records law. It's not FOIA, but
let's say, just to follow up if I might, let's say Ken and I are getting ready for the next meeting and I just send him, here's what I understand is coming up, but send him an email over our private emails, because I don't have a city account, if you will.
None of us have city.
right.
That isn't a problem, is it? Because that's really the only way we're going to be able to communicate.
I don't want to say no. It is possible.
I can't imagine there's anything that we, in my couple years I've been here so far, and Kendall we haven't had any discussions that would warrant that kind of reaction by someone, but I just wanted to be sure that was.
In my experience from the city, that has not come up as a problem. But I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Just be careful.
Just be careful.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't the caveat there be whether it's a quorum or not as well?
No, actually, because that actually is there are two different statutes. We're talking, there's the public meeting law, which is the quorum issue. Then there's the public records question. And if it's a communication related to your activity on PRAC, then it would be a public record. And if I was to get some request like that, I would have to work with the individuals involved and figure out how to extract that email from whatever account it was. Yes, so it is possible.
I find it highly unlikely. that
It's
we
very
will be
unlikely,
Involved in anything that requires such, such level, but, you know.
I guess something just popped up for me, Jacob. So I work for the state government, and we have a very specific limit that we can accept in gifts or anything per year. If I accepted something there, would that limit my ability to accept something here? Not that we would ever accept anything here, city versus state.
I would have to check, but I believe that it would be only for PRAC. So if you're accepting a gift for PRAC, it would be something like you had the West Lynn Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. I'm sure they have one. They would come here and maybe buy you a pin or something like that as a token. That's where that gift requirement comes up, because it's something you are receiving because you have a seat on the PRAC.
Okay.
It wouldn't, if it was for something else, then it wouldn't be related to your work here.
Perfect. Thank you.
And that gift type thing is individual, correct? The $50 individual. So if someone wanted to provide $70 worth of snacks for the whole group, that would be appropriate if we share among the group?
One of the exceptions from that is actually food. Food is exempt.
Right.
So I would make sure if this comes up again, please check with me and I can confirm this. But I believe that food is exempt.
Gonna have Kendall start bringing donuts.
One cookie.
For the state foods exempt, I know that. Awesome.
I believe it's very similar or the same rule that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I believe.
Any other questions of Jacob? Okay. Was there any, as you said, you sent out the video.
Yep.
So Dave, got a chance to look at that. So, okay.
For those of you that saw it last year, you probably recognized a few of the slides.
All right.
All right, well, thank you for having me come, and thank you for your service to the city.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you. All right. Next on our agenda, Never Forget garden presentation. And we have someone here to do that this evening. Yes, I don't have your name written down there, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Julie Ann Smith.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So I was here last year to present on this subject, and we've had some changes, so I'm here to pretty much provide an update. Thank you. So I here to represent the Daughters of the American Revolution. I'm the chapter regent for the Susanna Lee Barlow chapter, which is the local chapter. Daughters of the American Revolution, just to give you some background, was founded in 1890, and it's a nonprofit, non-political women's group. Our membership is comprised of women that can prove lineal descent from a patriot from the American Revolution. And the goal of the Daughters is to promote historical preservation, education, and patriotism. And in doing that, we provide support to active duty service members and veterans. We provide scholarships and financial aid. We work to restore and maintain historical sites, and we create memorials to people and events. So the Never Forget Garden is a memorial, and it was initiated in 2018 by the Society of the Honor Guard, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And the idea is that you can plant a garden that is a visual representation of America's commitment to recognize, remember, and honor veterans for their sacrifice. And in that way, we are showing or demonstrating patriotism, love, mourning, and remembrance. And these gardens can serve the purpose of providing an area for those to reflect on the sacrifice made by our veterans and their families. So there's some essential elements for the garden, of course, a physical site, an American flag, a bench or a chair, someplace to sit, a marker, as you see here off to the right, a chapter plaque that just tells who the chapter is that donated the garden, a white rose and other flowers, but the white rose is the only required flower. And then typically there's a dedication ceremony. So last year I was here presenting, and we had suggested a site, the Jacobs Memorial Square, and that site was approved by PRAC for the installation of a Never Forget garden. However, we met, some of our representatives met with Mayor McGriff and Parks representatives, and it was felt that a more appropriate site might be Mountain View Cemetery. And so that's why I'm here presenting today, because there's been a change in the planned site. And so this picture, I don't think, do I have a laser pointer here? I guess I do. So this picture represents the site that is being considered at Mountain View Cemetery. And so it would be an area to honor veterans from all generations. And the plaque and the marker and the flowers, it's felt, would enhance and add further interest to the new plaza at Mountain View Cemetery. And it would be adjacent to the plaza. And there would be a walkway from the plaza to the site that would draw visitors to the garden. And benches would be installed near the garden as part of the plaza project. You can see outlined here the proposed locations for those benches. And the Never Forget Garden would help educate visitors and provoke thoughtfulness and provide a place for remembrance and expressing gratitude. So the DAR plans to partner with the city to create this garden. And the agreement that we've come to is that the city of Oregon would provide some aspects, the city of Oregon City would provide some aspects of the garden, and the DAR would provide some. And so the aspects that are provided by the city of Oregon City are the flag, which is already installed at the adjacent Veterans Plaza, the benches that will be installed at the plaza as part of the existing project, the natural stone to mount the plaque, installation of the garden marker and stone in the garden, and the pathway or walkway to the garden. The DAR would be providing the adhesive to adhere the plaque to the stone, the actual plaque, the Never Forget plaque, the chapter marker, the white roses. We plan to plant 2 white rose bushes on either side of the Never Forget marker, with guidance from the park staff as to appropriate location, and any additional flowers. And then, of course, we would also provide the upkeep. So the next steps are for us to get input from the advisory committee and hopefully approval for this new location at Mountain View Cemetery instead of Jacobs Memorial Square. And if needed, if we have to provide additional presentations, we're prepared to do that. And then a memorandum of understanding would need to be created. And then we would need to figure out a timeline if everything is approved by everyone. And that's all I have. So please let me know what kind of questions you might have. And hopefully I can answer them.
Thank you, Julie.
Sure.
Questions?
I do have one. I mean, I would assume that you would have put it in the previous slide, but is there any irrigation that's needed for the upkeep of the garden? I did see that Daughters of the American Revolution would be doing the upkeep, but I didn't see if there'd be irrigation needed. With roses, probably not, but.
I kind of think there is some irrigation needed, but see, I wasn't there for the walkthrough at Mountain View Cemetery, so I don't know exactly what was discussed. I don't know, Kendall, do you know?
I'm pretty sure there is some irrigation located at that site, specifically where in relations to that. we'll double check and make sure it has the irrigation it needs.
Thanks.
Maybe this is a Kendall question. I know that as part of the broader project there at the square, those benches that were mentioned, those are going to be part of that operation. How soon are those benches going to be put in place?
It depends on what happens here and what the city commissioners say, if it has to go to the city commission for additional approval.
Sure.
And then we can create a timeline in regards to implementation and installation. Because the other thing that I like to mention is we're starting phase 3 of our Veterans Memorial renovation.
Right.
And so we felt like this ties into that as well. So with those timelines and with proper approval, we like to kind of integrate both of those projects.
Ken?
On the pavers with the grass in between, is that a design function or feature that was kind of chosen by the Parks Department or by the daughters?
It was chosen by the Parks Department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it seems like that edging and trying to keep all of that trimmed, is that, you got the manpower to do that?
They were fine with it, yeah.
Okay.
I can actually speak to that real quick. It's designed so that the mower can get in there and they don't have to do a push mower in that space.
Okay. I stopped up at the site this afternoon just to look because I knew we were going to be talking about it. It's it's a good location right there associated with everything else. I don't know. You indicated we're going to plant some roses, the white roses, in that location, which probably would require some removal of some of the existing vegetation, I assume. The one bush that you have circled there looks like it's ready to go anyway. So probably a good move at this point. But that's where we're.
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The only other question I had was, what kind of, once a project like this is complete, what kind of public outreach do you do so veterans and other peoples know that it is there? The only reason I ask is I work out at Camp Withicum at Clackamas, and we have a large remembrance square, and I feel that we struggle to kind of get the word out that that's what it's there for that moment of contemplation and to honor the veterans. And I just want to know, what have you done before, has your group done before to let the public know that this space is there?
Well, I mean, certainly we have our Facebook page, so we're going to put it out on Facebook. And there's, veterans groups that we would push it out to, like the VFW and things like that. And just, advertise about it to the groups that we interact with frequently anyway.
I have a good question. So every year I do the emceeing of the Memorial Day program there at the cemetery. Is this a project that would be completed by this coming Memorial Day? Is that something that, do we know if it's approved or?
It just depends on the timing,
Okay.
because one of our goals with the phase 3 of the Veterans Memorial renovation is to get all of that completed before the next Memorial Day. That's our goal, and we're still on pace to be able to do that. So I would think that we would be able to hopefully get both projects completed before the next event, but there's some steps that we need to take and things we need to do.
And then my other question is, and I don't really understand, so I'm just going to ask, is there opportunities for individuals or groups to be able to sponsor these benches that would be able to put, like, I want to have a plaque on this bench in memory of my father who was a veteran that's passed away? Is that something that the city would allow?
Interesting that you bring that up, because that's one of the programs that we're trying to work on in regards to like memorials or memorial benches and things of that nature. And so we're actually going to be bringing a revision of that policy back to PRAC to have some additional conversation of how we manage those items, because it's never been really structured, and we have so many requests, and And it hasn't been really laid out in a fashion to the roles and responsibilities for how long and replacement. And so we really want to take a look at the policy associated with that and figure out what makes sense moving forward.
I'm sure Trails End News would appreciate an article, and they would be more than happy to spread the news of this garden.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But I don't know who to talk to about the Trails End News.
You can just talk to me, and I
You're
can
the
take care
person.
of it. Yeah.
You're the person. Okay, you've got the article assignment.
All right.
Okay, any other questions?
Julianne, I just want to say that this location seems like a much better location to me, too.
Yeah, I think so. It just seems like the natural choice.
And this item, you should take action on in regards to if you support it and you support it moving forward. So there needs to be a motion and a
You
formal
need a vote and a
Yes.
motion to
Yep.
support the change that's, that has been presented to us here this evening.
Yes, sir.
So do I have anyone?
I'll,
would,
I'll make the motion, Dave Bone.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the changes as proposed, change in location and the proposal as presented to us here this evening.
And I'll do a roll call.
Okay.
David Bone.
Yes.
Joyce Gifford.
Yes.
Joey Knopf.
Yes.
Timothy Lanehart.
Yes.
Emily Lisborg.
Yes.
Erin McClellan.
Yes.
Steve Williams.
Yes.
Ken Wooster.
Yes.
Tim West.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who this goes back to. Should I leave it here?
Yeah, you can leave it right there, that's great.
Kendall, I assume you'll just keep us informed of the progress of this.
Yes.
As it moves.
There'll be frequent
Whatever
updates.
step it goes to next. Okay.
So
All
then
right.
will you be reaching out to one of us then?
I'll be reaching out to
Start the
you.
next
Yep.
process. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You're all good.
Okay. Our next agenda item, and we have some folks here, I believe, speak to us this evening. The Parents of Murdered Children Memorial Project.
Come on up.
Come on up. Do you guys want me to display what I have, or because it's outdated, do you just want to speak to? Go ahead, okay.
Oh, no worries.
The person who's building it, we talked to him at 5:30 and he was coming, so I don't know, I hope they haven't ran into some problem.
Looks like I have a couple things. You want me, is this one acceptable? Because I have this guy as well.
That probably is a better
Yeah,
representation.
that's a better one.
Yeah.
Pass that around. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry I don't know your names. Can you introduce
My name
yourself,
is
please?
Mary Elledge and my husband is Bob Elledge.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm chapter leader of Parents of Murdered Children.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
bet.
Anyway, as I said, my name is Mary Elledge, and this is my husband, Bob, my best supporter. And we have, 10 years ago, we finished the memorial garden up there. And David, who is supposed to be here, and he left and everything, so I hope that they're okay. Him and his wife came. And were on their way to come and help. But we have a small addition that we want to do to the memorial, so we'll be finished, and I'm gonna let Bob tell you about that.
Well, we don't have any more space to put any more names in there, so we want to enlarge it so we can put some more names on there. And we were looking at the aspect of putting like tombstones, that you could put like 30 names on each side of it and put them behind where the garden is. And then you could walk around them and look at them.
they would be in back, they would be kind of in the back of the, when you're walking into the garden, you see, are you all familiar with the Memorial Garden? Excuse me. Anyway, so if you're, as you're walking in the little walkway in there to your left, they would be in the back there. That was one of the projects that our designer wanted to have. And he would have the 10 stones that would actually, they would hold 150 on each side. So then we can add another 1,000 names. We have about 600 names now. And we.
How many?
600. And we have, excuse me, we have 120 that needed to be added. So that's a lot of families who, can't go up and see their loved one's name up on there. But every year on September 25th, we have the National Day, it's Victims Day, and we celebrate, and we have a big party, a picnic, and everyone is invited. Anyone in Oregon City can come. And we have some good speakers, and it's just to let you know that homicide can't be resolved. And so what we're trying to do is to let people know what happens when you lose a loved one to some homicide, so that we'll keep people so that they can remember that behind every murder and everything, there's families that are devastated by this. And so we have actually we are a member of the National Office of Parents of Murdered Children, and we have the largest memorial in the United States for a POMC group. So we're very, very proud of it. And we have over 600 names, but we have another 250 we need to add. And what it has running for those who, has everyone seen it? Okay, excuse me. Excuse me. But anyway, so it's in memory of our loved ones. And then also, we want the public to know that it's theirs to use too. We have a lot of people who maybe have birthdays of someone in the cemetery that's buried or anything. They're welcome to use it at any time. The cemetery keeps the spot. The work is so beautiful, and that we get so many compliments. And whenever we excuse me, I'm so sorry. Every time we have a celebration, and the city can use that too, because it's a nice place to either serve, for the Memorial Day service. We have set the tables and stuff out in our memorial so they can come in there and eat and sit down, and it's not just for us; it's for everyone. And as a reminder that it takes all of us to make a change and help this.
But it's tied together with the veterans.
Yeah, and it's tied with the veterans who we love. And so they can use ours, and they have, finished their grounds there, so we can use theirs. When we have a lot of people, so we can have as many as 800 people, from 200 to 800 people for every year we celebrate. So, kind of what we do.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Kendall?
Yeah, just a quick clarification. Thank you for the pictures. And so if you looked at the pictures, you'll notice in these pictures, and we can pass them back around, there are benches along the edge of the Parents of the Murdered Children Memorial. The plan is to remove those benches and add some additional memorials there and located in that area. We'd had some conversations about the idea of putting things in the lawn, but because of the nature of the Veterans Memorial, getting access to that, the renovation that's happening, we didn't want to break off the memorial from the Veterans Memorial. So we felt like the best option would be to take these benches out and then add the additional memorial plaques that we need to add. So that's the plan that we were proposing.
So you're talking about in the courtyard of the memorial itself, removing benches?
These benches.
Oh, okay,
located
right,
here,
sure,
So
okay.
right along the side, so to expand it out in that area.
Okay.
Or you had a picture, I saw it for a little bit, the one that you showed initially, yeah.
Right here?
That's a great picture.
Yep.
And here's
Yeah, it's
a
gorgeous.
great picture of the benches that we planned.
I think we're talking to the left of this.
Well,
Will there still be seating if you remove those 2 benches?
There still be some seating located in that area. We don't think that would be an issue moving forward. Removing all.
Mary, I have a question in regards to what connection does the parents of murdered children, how does it relate to Oregon City residents? Do you have to be a resident
Oh, no,
to have
no.
a kid in there, or is this a national thing?
Yeah, it's
that-
a national, Parents of Murdered Children, it's a national group.
So-
Anyone, like, let's say you live in Oregon City, but your loved one was killed in another state, you can have your loved one's name engraved on the wall.
All right. Do you have
So-
to be a resident of Oregon City to have a person in there?
No. And if, this is the site for it, and of course, Willamette Falls and the history, we have 350 soldiers from the Civil War buried here. So there's a lot of history in Oregon City, and the people that, you know, come maybe from a distance, but most of the people are from Oregon. But if you live in Oregon and your son was, let's say, killed in California, you could have his name engraved on it. Or let's say 50 years ago, your mother was murdered. The person has to be a victim of a homicide to have their name, and then, you know, someone has to sponsor them to be put on there.
So there's a connection to Oregon?
Yeah, so there is a connection, but it encompasses anyone who is in Oregon City and, you know, maybe would want to enjoy it. And then we also, now we have had one family, their son committed suicide, and she called me, and they were so distraught, they wanted a pretty place outside, and could they use it? Of course. And, you know, people are wonderful, respectful to the whole cemetery. So it's just uniting us by a grief of the losing a loved one, but we don't, you know, we've gotten very few requests for that, but we don't want to turn anyone away. And nationally, we have probably 10,000 members nationally. So we are probably actually a lot more than that, but we unite because of the loss of a loved one, losing a loved one to homicide. And it doesn't have to be a child. It can be a mother, a father, or a best friend, because these people have many times no place to go, and it's hard to get through. But when you know that other people understand, it's very, very helpful to them. And it just shows the empathy that we have in Oregon City, you know, having it here. Like I say, we get a lot of notoriety all over. We have people from other states come to see it because it is the largest one.
Mary, is it the only one in Oregon?
Yes, and it probably will be the only one. So, and we just ran out of namespace, so this with the idea that we have wherever you should choose that we can put it, we'll add it, that'll give us another 1,000 more names. And then we gave the memorial to Oregon City so that if our group would ever break up, they can, you know, it has a lot of money in it, and such. Now what people have just donated, this has all been put together with private donations. And Oregon City was kind enough to let us put it here. And the site is simply beautiful, and it works well with the veterans because they can use ours if they have something, or like I say, anything in the city, anything that, let's say anyone was putting something on, they could use our site. And we have the podium, and it's hooked up to speakers, and so, and then we do have some benches around there, but we also can put chairs around it. And then the way the veterans are, when we have ours, we can put folding chairs up there. So it works out really well. We hope to have with this will probably be our last, building on it. But we would like to get 3 statues out of bronze, a mother and a father and a child. And the father will have his hand on the mother, and the child will be actually an angel behind him. So we thought that would, even if a person lost a child, they could hopefully get a lot of comfort out of that. I don't mean just child, but in another way. You know, we do represent people who've been killed by homicide, but it's for anyone to use, and they do use it.
Any other questions?
I think you just answered it, but just to confirm, so you think this would be the last extension you would do of it from this point, or, I mean, would hate to
Well,
limit that portion, but,
I don't know if we could figure out another way. See, 1,000 names would last us a long time. Because there were a lot of names that were already had that just didn't happen in this last 10 years. But we put our heads together and figure something, because we don't want to take away from the beauty of it and the fact that it belongs to the city of Oregon City is what we feel.
thank you.
So, Kendall, again, what's our action here this evening?
If you support the expansion and the location of the removal of the 3 benches to expand the memorial wall, and you support that.
So, any further discussion before I ask for a motion? Would anyone like to make a motion on this item?
Sure. I'd make a motion to support the expansion of the memorial as well as removing the benches as proposed in this presentation.
I second that motion.
Okay. We have a second.
Thank
Any
you so
further
much.
discussion? Okay.
David Bone,
Yes.
Joyce Gifford,
Yes.
Joey Knopf,
Yes.
Tim Lanehart,
Yes.
Emily Lisborg,
Yes.
Erin McClellan,
Yes.
Steve Williams,
Yes.
Ken Wooster,
Yes.
and Tim West.
Yes.
Great, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And
Thank you.
So do we need to get together with the new?
We'll follow up with you and set up a time. Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you all very
Thank you.
much.
sure.
Pictures? Oh, I think they're moving that way
Oh,
again. Oh, here they are.
Right in, there they are.
Oh, he's got him right there. Yeah. All right. Oh, that's yours too.
Okay.
Thank you.
all right. We have an item listed as general business. I always enjoy this discussion when I don't call it general business, but it's a discussion about movies in the park series and the movie options.
Yes, so if you, look at the screen. So every year for our Movies in the Park series, we allow the members of the community to vote for their favorite movies, to let us know what they would like to see at this year's Movie in the Park series. The reason why we do usually come up with a list like this is because there's usually licensing tied to a lot of movies. So there's certain dates where we're allowed to show certain movies, or, sometimes Disney doesn't want us showing movies in the summer, or it's only certain weeks in the summer. So we usually come up with a starting point for people to vote for. And so what we're hoping to do is, potentially as early as tomorrow, is open up this list for people to start voting on. But before we do that, I just want to make sure to run it past our Park and Rec Advisory Committee so that you all can advise on this list in case there is a title that's, jumping out at you that you think may not be appropriate for families to watch in a park, or if you have a movie, that you really want us to add, I'm happy to look to see if the licensing is approved for that. But otherwise, that's what I have, and I'll open it up for any comments.
Is that a misspelling on the Lego movie?
Probably,
Yeah.
the Lego movie. Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that one. So this list, you've had the opportunity to go through, and these are these are all available.
The licensing is available, yeah.
At this point.
So, in past years, how many movies were on the list that people got to choose from. I mean, it just feels like this list is a little bigger than usual.
We usually, I think the average has been 10 to 12, you know, we usually take the top 4. So,
Do you find
you
there's
know, we can take some off if,
do you find there's a genre or a specific age range that brings more people to movies in the park specifically, or?
I think it goes back and forth. I think, you know, especially if we have a list where there's some of the newer movies versus some of the older ones, I think a lot of times, you know, parents are voting for it and they're voting for the ones they know that their kids want to see, and then they're voting for the ones that they also want to see. So I think that a lot of times we end up with a good mix of that when it comes to the top votes. And I mean, when we're doing these events, a lot of, you know, who we usually see at these are families with kids, or, you know, people in junior high or high school that are coming and hanging out with their friends, so.
Do you have a rating, like they all have to be PG or under PG-13?
They're all either G or PG. Okay. So.
And what time do you normally do them? Sorry, I don't remember.
They start at dusk, so as soon as it's dark out, which usually in early August, it's not until about 8:45. And then later in the evening, it's 8:30 as the sun starts to set earlier.
Is there a difference in the fees, the rental fees for the city, for the newer movies and the older movies, or are they all the same? Okay.
Yeah. So there's usually a range in between the cost of licensing, and it could be anywhere between $400 and $800 per movie as far as licensing costs. So, and just because it's newer doesn't mean it's like higher in cost. It just depends on the licensing agreement with each title.
Remind me the method by which the public votes again. I don't remember how we.
They usually select their top 4 votes.
And they access the ability to vote where?
We will post it in our trail news, on our city website, our social media. We have a registration software. We have some memberships, so sometimes we'll email that out to people. We have a monthly electronic trail news that comes out each month, and we'll put the links there. We also usually create postcards and post those at different city facilities with QR code to vote, and keep that posted at events. And we usually, every year, get about anywhere between 500 and 1,000 people respond on those.
Well, there's several movies on this list I'd sure like to see, but
I just saw Migration. It was very good.
yeah.
I've seen every one of these.
Any other questions or thoughts on this list? I'd just say from my perspective, it looks to cross, it's pretty diverse and a good broad range for the ones I know. I don't know them all, but certainly out of that group, we should be able to, I would assume we'll get 4 good ones that people would enjoy.
I think we usually do.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? We don't need anything formal for this one, do we? Other than just, looks like a good list to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
When will you do the voting? Sorry, one more question.
Is probably open it up tomorrow, and then we usually close it at the end of March because our summer trail news information is due in mid-April, and we need to know what movies we're showing for that.
How often does the Trails End News go out?
Quarterly.
Quarterly. So if you want to get one in the spring.
The spring has already wrapped up.
Yes.
Yep. So the next one it hasn't gone out to the public, but the editing for it has already closed. I think it's getting mailed out in a couple weeks. The next one will be the summer trail news, and usually we have to have all of our, ducks in a row and information by mid-April.
Last question. Is Kung Fu Panda in 2024 out yet? Yeah, I know it's a new one, but if it's not out yet, I wonder if
We checked with the licensing companies, so, yeah, I'll double check that, but, yeah. Huh?
I was gonna say, I know it's soon.
Yeah, so it's probably
It'll be
early
right in
enough.
the voting time, so it'll be fine. Great.
Okay, great.
Perfect, thank you.
Look for that list, start voting.
Yeah,
Vote early and often.
well, it's one vote per person. There are, yeah, some
I have lots of
tricks, but,
aliases that I could be.
yeah, we do make sure to put that limit to try to not have that happen.
Okay, good. Kendall, I think the next, we've got staff reports.
Yep, and I'll kick things off. Quick update, Clackamas Park Master Plan, we're still going. So we did go back to the City Commission during the work session to have some conversations about parking was a concern at Clackamas Park, and the location of the RV park was a concern. We did some tours of the site with city commissioners. We took some information back to them at the last work session, and then at that work session, it was decided that we would need to take a look at the Cove as a possible location for the RV park. So currently, I'm working with our consultants to develop a plan to showcase the Cove as a possible location, kind of go through the pros and cons of that location. Obviously, that wasn't part of the Clackamas Park Master Plan, since it wasn't part of Clackamas Park, but we're going to present the information on how viable that location is, and we're looking at bringing that back to PRAC at the next meeting on February 22nd to present that information. The other items that we're going to be discussing is our obligations for the boat ramp in regards to our relationship with the Oregon State Marine Board, and in what those obligations are, to clarify that. And so we're looking forward to bringing that back. And this is one of those situations when we have a date scheduled to bring it back to the City Commission. We would love to have the support of PRAC, a letter of recommendation to, if you support what we're presenting or support the current plan that we had, and someone probably giving public comment. So we would definitely want to have those conversations at the next meeting when we make that presentation. The other thing is the Park Master Plan. We're getting really, really close to having a final draft of the Parks Master Plan, and particularly wrapping up our capital improvement plan list. Our plan is to, once we get that information, we want to send it out to all of you for review before we put that on the agenda to do a formal presentation, to give you appropriate time to go through those 400 pages to review. And then the plan is to then, schedule some dates to bring it back to PRAC for further discussion, to do a public engagement meeting, to also do some presentations like at CIC, Youth Advisory Commission. And then the next step after we've done those presentations is to set a date to bring the Parks Master Plan to the City Commission to present, hopefully for approval and discussion. And that discussion will be our opportunity as well to dovetail into conversations around alternative funding, and having those conversations around what the city commissioners feel comfortable with in regards to that. So those are my two big updates. We did have a really great conversation with the possible sponsor who's looking at possibly supporting us in installing a new fenced dog park. So we're starting that process of putting together some proposals and possible locations for that. And then obviously once we have the blessing of the sponsor, we'll want to bring that back to all of you to have some further discussion. There'll be some forms of public engagement that will need to happen before we then hopefully, if everything goes well, take it to the City Commission for approval as well. So that's really exciting. We're currently working on putting together several proposals together for opportunities for either businesses or nonprofit organizations who want to support us with specific projects related to the Parks and Recreation Department, whether it be parks or other things, ADA accessibility. We've had some conversation around that. So we're putting together some proposals that have been that we're going to vet and put some numbers to with some marketing. So when we do have these opportunities, when people come to us who want to support us or donate or sponsor things, we'll have information ready to go. So we're currently working on putting that together. So pretty exciting. So
I have a question. So I thought that the Cove was private property.
urban renewal property.
It's urban renewal.
Yes.
All right.
That's why it was never discussed during the process.
Very good.
It's not ours.
And then are you going to go ahead and ask the PRAC for ideas to put on the wish list, as you were just talking about?
The wish list.
Well, you were saying bring ideas so that the Park and Recs would consider.
So the proposals?
Yes.
We're going to put together the proposals and have them already lined out, similar to what some of the conversations we were having, like the pollinator garden, which was a proposal that's like a wish list item that we will want to move forward, but we don't have the funding for. So we're going to put all of the proposals together and do the packaging and bring it to PRAC to have conversation about those. But we're trying to be proactive about doing the proper vetting for those proposals. So when we do have people who want to support us, we'll already have that information ready to go.
Is it too late to have another idea to put into that bucket?
It's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late. All right.
I think that's what you were asking. You were asking, is there an opportunity for additional items added to that?
That's it, like a regional community center.
Now, that's an interesting topic because that kind of ties into conversations that we're currently having around our facility master plan. I don't know if everyone had the opportunity to review the presentation that was provided by our consultants, SEA. They're doing our facilities master plan, looking at all of our facilities and really looking at how we're going to utilize these facilities long term. Some may be at the end of life and poor condition. Some may need to be replaced or have some conversations about new locations. The cemetery being one where it needs a master plan. There needs to be some additional development associated with that site so we can better serve the community and house our parks and cemetery staff. The pool, which is 60 years old, which is a priority for us, where we need to make some decisions on development. If we're going to develop the pool in its current location or look for a new location. End of the Oregon Trail, what's the vision for that site? And what does the City Commission feel comfortable with? So we're having those conversations right now with the City Commission to get some direction. And what we're trying to do is focus on some of the high priority facilities that we have, because those decisions will kind of determine how we tackle some of these other facilities moving forward. So there are plans to bring that back for another presentation. I'm not positive about the date. I'm pretty sure, I think it's next month, but once I get that date, I'll make sure you guys are aware of that. But those conversations have started. The other thing that we've been doing too is sharing that information from those conversations with our consultants for the Parks Master Plan to make sure the Parks Master Plan and our CIP plan speak to what we're discussing with the Facilities Master Plan, because a lot of our facilities are involved in that process, facilities that we manage. So we want to make sure that there's some cohesiveness in regards to kind of what we're proposing with the Parks Master Plan and then what they're proposing in regards to facilities master plans in our facilities.
Well, Kendall, you and I have talked about this before. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
And just the things you've discussed here this evening. Please keep us informed of when the City Commission is going to be talking about these things, because it seems as though sometimes things pop up and sometimes I know I've missed a few of them that that would have been helpful to know about, and I'm sure others have interest of items that are coming up. So we can both find places to go look at the agenda. I understand that, but for those items that you know are important to us around this table, please reach out and let us know those are going to be there. That's another way, as we've talked before, about how we can participate and be helpful to you and the staff and others on those projects, is to know about them. And if, I mean, a couple times I've jumped up and started talking, just, so we can do those kinds of things and be helpful both to you and the citizens of the city, so.
Yep, thank you. All right. Kyle, you want to kick things off?
I never get to go first, nor my last. So my staff this past month spent a lot of time on winterization of facilities, and then also ice response. And we had a debrief today, and we're going to come up with some more procedures that we want to take note of. This response was quite different from last year's major response that we had, and we're seeing how that worked differently based on the timing. Unfortunately, hitting on a long weekend, and how that impacted everyone, and how we can better respond to everyone to keep things going. Work that we did accomplish this past month that we're proud of, but also sometimes didn't want to do because of the disaster response that we're doing. We had our November response to Pioneer for the kitchen was all about Meals on Wheels services, and this month it was all about in-service items, so like the pass-through, the cooling table, and the dishwasher. So it's funny that they flipped needs there. We had some, we had the police station HVAC, we had Ermitinger HVAC, we had and a trail HVAC, all went out and have been returned to service. The unit that I still have not returned to service, unfortunately, is the one that serves Tom's office. So
Is that why it's moving there?
That explains it.
So I'll be feeling the heat until he is no longer feeling the heat there. We also did a full replacement of the egress lighting at the interior of the end of the trail. So all the safety lights that go on, that sometimes you don't notice they're out until you walk in there when no one's supposed to be there. So that was an important walkthrough that we had to do, and then work that we did on that. Work that we're looking forward to doing, so these aren't emergencies, is library has a reception desk renovation that they've installed, and we're getting rid of the old one and make some changes for them there. They have two spaces that they're looking to change. So they're looking to change their old broadcasting AV room into office space as they've expanded their staff, but then are no longer using that space as the backup commissions chambers. And they are looking at hiring some or increasing their maker space offerings, and so changing up some storage space there that we need to do some work for them on that. I've got some work to do at some city-owned rental properties that have suffered some leaks over the past few months. So I'm working with Public Works on those projects. I'm gonna leave the other Pioneer stuff up to Cecily, so I don't take away any of her thunder. Thanks, everyone.
Any updates from you, Tom?
I just really want to point out that I was very impressed with the crew's response during the ice storm, coming into it in the middle of the ice storm, basically. And I felt like they, I've experienced ice storms myself in Marion County and the responses to that. And I was very impressed. I was very impressed with the way that the crew handled it. I'm also very impressed with, specifically want to call out Brandon and Ginny, who've just been a wealth of knowledge throughout my kind of onboarding period, getting me up to speed on all these different projects and everything you've got going on. Other than that, just excited to be here, and I'll definitely have a full report for you next meeting.
If I might, just a quick question, Kendall, did we have much tree damage in this last?
We actually dodged a bullet there with the trees.
Yeah, it seemed like we did dodge it this year.
Yeah. Now, long-term, we've had some preliminary conversations about just needing to look at the possibility of a tree assessment across the city so we can better manage our trees. So if there's some things that we can do on our end to mitigate any issues, that we would be aware of that. So we're having some conversations about that right now.
So we have been wrapping up and are in the midst of a lot of stuff at the swimming pool. We just had our winter break camps back in December. We're in the midst of high school swim season and high school swim meets, and that's going to be wrapping up in the next few weeks. We had a lifeguard certification class, and we're going to have another lifeguard certification class later in February. We were able to reschedule the majority of our swimming lessons that we had to cancel because of the ice storm, so that was good. Just with a lot of our sessions are Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 3-week periods, and with a lot of holidays falling on Mondays, our weeks are usually broken up a little bit, so we were able to find space to reschedule a lot of the group lessons mainly for that, so that was good. And then we, when we opened up on Thursday, had posted about our indoor playground and had a very positive response on our social media for that. And just with the preparation of knowing that we were probably going to have a lot more people come in this week, decided to increase the amount of days and times that we're offering that program, which we're very glad we did that this week, because in the last few days, we have had a very high attendance for that. We are going to continue to have that program be Tuesday through Friday from 9:30 to 1:30 instead of just Tuesday and Thursday for the rest of January and February, just knowing that those months are cold and rainy. And then we are also doing a membership promotion right now for that, because we did get a lot of questions about if we offer memberships for the indoor playground, and our swimming pool memberships cover that program because it is a program that is at the swimming pool. And so from now until February 2nd, for anyone who purchases either a youth quarterly membership or a family quarterly membership, we're going to give them an extra month. So it'll be 4 months instead of 3 months, so that people can get access to that indoor playground and other programs. It gives access to anything that happens at the swimming pool. So the water fitness classes, drop-in lap swims. We do have some morning yoga classes that we offer. So we're doing that to just encourage people to come to that site. We are doing our glow swims at the swimming pool. So once a month during the winter times when the sun sets really early, we dim the lights and put our underwater lights on and some disco lights on the pool deck. And so we're gonna be doing our last ones in the months of February and March, because this stays really light out after March usually. So we've got that. And then as far as the Ermitinger House, we just had Heritage Holidays back in December. We did the 6th annual military arms event last weekend, which we're glad we were able to open on Saturday to do that. We had 20 people attend that event this year. And then we have a lot of events coming up there this next month, we have Oregon's birthday is on Valentine's Day, for those who may not know that. And so every year we do an event for that at the Ermitinger House to celebrate that. So on Saturday, February 10th, we're going to be celebrating Oregon's birthday. Soul Flags Art Community Center will be there to provide some free crafts for people or for kids to come and make. And then we will have some birthday treats and all of that date for people. We have lantern tours taking place on February 24th, which is an opportunity to come and visit that historic house museum with lanterns in the dark. So a little bit of a different experience, and there'll be some, I believe, a little bit of living history demonstrations during that night as well. And then in early March, we have a murder mystery event that we're doing. So we did one back in, I believe it was October, and we're going to do the same thing in March this year because we sold out and had a wait list for that event. So we're going to do that again. Like Taylor said, we have our daddy-daughter dinner dance next week. So we will be doing that. We, I believe, have 2 spots left. It might have filled within the last few hours, but that usually does fill out every year. And then on Saturday, February 3rd, we are doing a Lunar New Year event. And that is in partnership with the school district and Soul Flags Art Community Center and some other community members pulling that together to offer that. It'll be at the Pioneer Community Center from noon to 3. And I really encourage people to come. There's going to be, it's the Year of the Dragon, and there's going to be some dragon dancing at 2 o'clock that day, which should be really cool. And then we went through movies in the park. Voting will be open. And then we're in the midst of concert in the park planning. Usually we really start that in early December, but I got really sick in December and January, and I'm getting back on my feet. So we are working on it now. And so you guys should be seeing the lineup going out, and we'll start, reaching out to a lot of our partners and sponsors within the next couple of weeks for that program. And should hopefully have a poster pretty soon. So, and that's the end of my update.
Well, it's been a while since we've connected, and I just wanted to take a moment, I won't stay here long, but just to talk about the holiday season at the Pioneer Center. It's a wonderful time of year. It's actually our busiest time of year, and so I think that's why it's so important to just point out a few things. This community is incredibly generous, and what we see during truly like the months of November and December is an outpouring of generosity. That comes in the ways of response to our appeal letter that we send out every year. It comes in the way of end of the year giving that we become the benefactor of. Those donations can go to sort of a general fund for the center specifically, the Pioneer Community Center Fund or the Meals on Wheels Fund specifically. And we just saw a lot of, again, generosity that came that direction. In addition, we had our giving trees up, and what that is every single one of our Meals on Wheels clients has a ornament. And so the public can come in and they can take an ornament and purchase a holiday gift for that individual. This year, we were a little ambitious and decided to see if we could also make enough ornaments and receive enough gifts back for the congregate diners. And so that was successful. Oregon City Subaru partnered with us to put a giving tree there as well. That was new for us. And so it was just a great way to kind of reach a different demographic of people. And through their service center there and whatnot, they were able to, meet that need of the congregate diners as well. While the vital importance is to get those gifts to those that receive nothing or are completely homebound, very low income. A lot of our congregate diners that come in really are in that same category. They just have a little more independence still. And so it's wonderful to see both of them receive that. In addition, we do our holiday party, and that was very well attended. We had 86 in attendance for that. We did have live music. It's a catered event, really pouring out, again, just, care and compassion for this group of individuals that may not be able to attend something like that in another way. I think so many of us take for granted what holidays are and how it's easy for us to celebrate with friends, family, and for many of them, it is not. So it was a wonderful event. We also also held our first holiday bazaar, and it was wonderful. We had over 1,000 in attendance. We did have 40 vendors and got incredibly great feedback from them. So we are being asked to also do a spring event. I believe that's going to happen, but we're kind of in the planning stages of that. But doing 2 of those events a year makes sense. It's great. It's great for the community. I think, the vendors are people who might want a little additional income and that sort of thing. And of course, we love having wonderful community events at our center. Just a staffing update, you got to meet Taylor. I can't speak enough about just the incredible design of what this position's actually going to do. I see a lot of potential with collaboration, not just within the divisions of our department, but also just within the community. We're already seeing some of those things come to fruition, so I'm excited to kind of keep giving you updates of what that looks like in the future. And we do have a vacant position right now. It is a very part-time position. It's the nutrition assistant position. We just had interviews yesterday, and we are hoping to move forward with the candidate. That position supports both the Meals on Wheels nutrition program and the congregate dining program. I will respond, also to the inclement weather, and I want to give a public shout out to facilities and to parks for everything they did, as well as obviously Public Works. But the other thing I want to mention is I've heard from my team that the communication for staff was better this year than it ever has been, and I was very impressed with how that went. From the Pioneer Center standpoint, we really have a social service lens on that time, right? We're most concerned with our, vulnerable recipients that we serve and whatnot. While all the other factors matter, that's really where our attention goes. But we are proactive with that. So all of our Meals on Wheels clients actually received 5 inclement weather meals for preparation of this prior to the event. We were very comfortable that knowing that they had food, that they were well taken care of. Come Friday, I was really grateful we were open, however, because again, they had 5 meals, not, 10 or whatever might have been needed. So, but it went really well. We do reassurance calls. We check in on everybody during that time, and it was a very smooth event from our standpoint. So that was wonderful. We did participate in the Share the Love campaign. That's a National Meals on Wheels America campaign. We do have a grant out for that. Essentially, they have some parameters that we have to meet. Did we advertise on social media? Did we talk about what this means? Again, it's a partnership with Subaru, and you'll see a lot of national advertising during that time. But we are hoping to be a hometown hero next year. We're building that relationship with them to see if that is a possibility. And that would look like a lot of funding directed towards Meals on Wheels for the future. But it was a wonderful event. We'll keep you posted on that award and if we were able to receive any funding from what we did. And I think we're kind of gearing up to the next thing. Again, it's a National Meals on Wheels America campaign, but it is the March for Meals #SaveLunch campaign. And so you'll see a lot of advertisement probably nationally for that. It is really just an outreach movement for Meals on Wheels specifically, but it's about volunteer recruitment, it's about outreach, it's about fundraising, so all of those factors, and you'll see some activity directly from the Pioneer Center in regards to that as well. And then I just had some grant updates. The Oregon Department of Human Services had some direct grant opportunities available, kind of some leftover ARPA funding, and there was a $50,000 transportation grant available, and we did get that award, so we're very excited about that. Working with Kyle, and I won't go into specifics, it was an innovative transportation grant, so they're looking at how these programs can be improved. So we are focusing on transportation like assets and the security of them, as well as security of our riders. And so we've got some great projects lined up, and we'll tell you more about those as we get closer and what those will look like. But Kyle and I are working diligently on, I should really say Kyle is working diligently on getting quotes and that sort of thing. I just can't speak highly enough about the support that he's given in that project. And just today actually received that news that we did get our transportation grant as well. And that one is a $22,000 grant for the nutrition program. So very excited about that.
All right. That completes our update.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Next on our agenda is a period for members' reports. For the new members, it's you don't have to have a report, but anything of interest that you may have encountered since our last meeting, or anything else certainly that would be of interest to us here on the PRAC? Do we have any reports? Yes, sir.
I have one. This is mainly just for Melissa and her crew. I just want to give a big shout out for the indoor playground last week when all the parents were going crazy with the kids at home. I've heard from 10 to 15 families that I know who attended this week as well, and your guys' staff was excellent. So I know it was crowded, but they said it was something they didn't know was there, and I think you marketed it the exact right time. And I'm just wanting to give a really big shout out to your crew there.
Thank you.
Mine's a little bit along that lines. I follow you on Instagram mainly for social, and I notice every time you actually post something in the stories. And so seeing that indoor playground in the stories, immediately I was like, oh, I remember that's there. And so just a shout out, and hopefully you keep that going on all those events that you have coming up, like a regular piece. I just really enjoyed that.
Anything else?
I just want to thank Kendall for kind of getting the ball rolling on all these projects. It sounds like there's a lot of exciting things in the works, and I'm definitely excited to hear more about all these projects, from all the park staff. But yeah, I guess follow up on the pollinator gardens. I wasn't sure that I would be on this committee until a couple days ago, so I didn't want to reach out to Xerxes. But if that is of interest, I can reach out to them to have a presentation. The CIC and NRC have also already heard presentations from them, and I feel like the timing might be good, especially if you mentioned doing a draft of a project proposal in the upcoming months. We can kind of collaborate to have that all kind of happen at the same time.
That'd be great.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one piece of information. I don't know how it'll affect us, the city and your staff down here, but some may be aware that the Army Corps of Engineers in the upper Willamette Basin drained this last year in an effort to support salmon. They drained a number of big reservoirs. And I was told today that there's a concern about the potential for a large volume of material to come floating down the river, and it could affect some of those facilities that we have along the river. I don't know that it's a for sure, but it was pointed out to me that there was a potential for that, and that there were a number of people up and down the river, watching out for that to occur, which if you send down a bunch of wood or whatever, we get that frequently, but this may be a bit more as a result of some of the activities that have occurred in the upper basin. So for those that are involved in keeping the docks and everything down there on the river in place, you might watch for that the next time we get a high water, which after watching the weather tonight, we might have a high water coming for a little bit here. So just something to watch out for that I was made aware of today. Anything else? Future agenda items.
So I'd just like to make a comment here. Steve and I had a conversation earlier this month when we met to discuss the agenda. We have a ton of stuff coming up. And we were talking about actually putting together a schedule for the next 6 to 12 months with all the items that we have coming up, so you know what to expect. It doesn't preclude us from adding additional items, but I think it would be beneficial for us as a group and for planning to be able to put that schedule together. And so what I like to do is actually bring that schedule to you next month, proposed schedule for the next several months to really kind of show you what we have coming up and what we're planning to bring to PRAC. So we can have some conversation about that.
Yeah, we may see, that's excellent, Kendall. I think that's one of those items that we've talked about before around this table, and that lets us do some preparedness. And I note for the future agenda item that's right here in front of us.
Yep.
That's I believe it for sure for next month.
Yes.
Okay. And look forward to that presentation.
All right, yes, Oregon City has a tremendous asset in the Hillendale pickleball courts. It's very underutilized, and you yourself were saying that the members of the public are asking for more pickleball. So I have a solution, and I'd love to present that next week so that we could bring it. Next month, yes. And see what we can do to move it forward.
Okay, excellent. And I look forward to your list, and we'll put all that together and give us a chance. Next scheduled meeting is February 22nd, and hopefully we'll see no more ice between now and then.
Just jinxed us.
I just jinxed it, yeah. But I do think we're gonna see some water. I think that's what I'm preparing for now, so. Okay, anything else this evening before I adjourn us? Okay, welcome again, Dave and Erin. Appreciate you being here, and you've now don't know what you got yourself into, but that's okay. So we'll get some things done here. So thank you very much, and adjourn the meeting for this evening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.